I still remember vividly the night last winter when I got a call from George, a longtime patient of mine in Flagstaff, Arizona. He was 81 years old, a former Marine with hands as big as cast-iron skillets, but that night his voice was shaking. "Doctor, I can't sleep. My legs are curled up, like someone is squeezing my calves with a steel wire. It hurts so much that tears come out." I was silent for a few seconds, not because I didn't know what to say, but because my heart was aching. Not just for Mr. George, but for the hundreds, thousands of other seniors who were going through the same silent pain, night after night, alone, without complaint. But what makes me sad the most is because they think this is a normal part of getting old. No, it is not. Nighttime cramps are not random. They are a cry for help, a warning signal that your body is missing something very important. And trust me, the answer doesn't lie in an expensive pill or a TV-advertised dietary supplement. The solution, actually, is right there in your kitchen, in the refrigerator, on the spice rack, in the salad bowl you often overlook because you think it's so simple. Over the past 40 years, I have treated countless patients with nighttime leg cramps, from former baseball players in Michigan to retired moms in Kansas who enjoy cycling around the lake every morning. And I realized one thing: almost all of them make the same mistake, forgetting the foods that have the magical ability to nourish the nervous system, restore muscles, and keep the blood flowing steadily every night. Today, I'm not just going to list these foods. I'm going to tell you real stories of individual patients, of small changes that produced big results. You'll see, just a well-timed banana, a handful of pumpkin seeds at night, or a delicious piece of grilled salmon for dinner could be the key to never waking up in the middle of the night with sore feet again. But before I tell you the first story about George, the banana, and his first sleep in 3 long weeks, I want you to do 3 little things. Click the like button if you have ever experienced or are experiencing this condition. Subscribe so you do not miss out on practical, easy-to-understand, and humane instructions like this. And don't hesitate to comment to share your story or send this video to someone, maybe a father, a mother, an old friend who is quietly enduring contractions every night. Now, join me on my first journey, a journey that starts with a simple yellow banana, but opens the door to a peaceful sleep after years of tossing and turning. 1. First, I want to tell about the banana and George's sleep. George was the first person I tried to recommend a banana before bed, not because it was the most special thing on the list, but because it was easy to find, easy to eat, and easy to accept for someone like him, who never believed in so-called online tips. I said, "George, try eating a banana around 8 o'clock tonight, then drink a glass of warm water, nothing else, then go to bed." A few days later, he called back. His voice sounded surprised, but softer than before. "Doctor, I think it worked. I only had 1 mild one, it didn't last long, and last night was completely fine." Bananas are rich in potassium, an essential mineral that helps regulate muscle contractions and relax nerves. But what many people don't realize is that they also contain magnesium and a little vitamin B6, all 3 of which work together like an orchestra to keep muscles and nerves functioning properly. But the important thing I stressed to George was this: bananas are not a panacea. They are just one piece of the puzzle. And if your body is dehydrated or severely deficient in magnesium, no amount of bananas can save you. I told him, if possible, to eat it with a few almonds or a box of unsweetened yogurt, both for calcium and magnesium. And sure enough, after 2 weeks, he told me something that touched me. "I slept like a boy. I haven't had a night so peaceful in 10 years. The next food is avocado, the forgotten fruit that has silent power, Helen, 74, of Bakersfield, California, once told me that she was afraid to eat avocados because she was afraid of getting fat. But when I explained the nutritional content of avocados, she hesitantly nodded. I will try it, but the doctor is right that I still have calf cramps every morning. We often talk about bananas as a source of potassium, but few people know that avocados have nearly double the amount of potassium, and more importantly, they are loaded with healthy fats, which help keep blood sugar stable, a very important factor in maintaining nerve stability. In older adults, especially those with prediabetes or diabetes, small fluctuations in blood sugar can affect peripheral nerves and lead to uncontrolled cramps or twitching. Avocados also contain magnesium, a mineral that helps relax muscles and improve circulation. Half an avocado a day, mixed into a salad, spread on whole wheat bread, or served with a hard-boiled egg, can make a big difference. After 3 weeks, Mrs. Helen told me very confidently, I still go for morning walks, but now I don't have to worry about stopping halfway. My legs feel like they were 10 years ago. Ooh. George and Helen have never met and live in different states, but their stories have something in common. They both started with doubt, and then gradually felt the change, not from medicine, but from simple choices on the dinner table. And it was those changes that inspired me to continue this journey, to help more people understand that food is not just to fill the stomach, but a medicine, if you use it correctly. So, if bananas are the starter, avocados are the internal fix, then next, I'm going to tell you about a dark green vegetable. You've probably eaten it in salads, but never considered it as an unsung hero in the fight against cramps. That is spinach. Small green leaves, but is a source of life for tired legs. After Helen recovered, I remembered another man, Mr. Charles, a retired barber in Cincinnati, Ohio. He lived alone in a ground-floor apartment where the windows always opened onto a small flower garden that he tended himself. Charles doesn't like medicine. He doesn't believe in supplements either, but every time he comes to see me, he always brings me some carrots or kale from the garden. One day he said, I get seizures every time I sit for a long time reading the morning paper. As soon as I pour myself a cup of coffee, my leg starts to throb. It's like someone is squeezing a nerve. I asked again about his diet, and he said, I eat a lot of vegetables, but I don't like spinach. It's bitter. I smiled, then said to him as if to a friend, Charles, sometimes the things we avoid are the things our bodies need the most. Spinach contains magnesium, and more importantly, it contains natural nitrates, which help improve circulation. For someone like you, who sits for long periods of time and has poor circulation in your legs, nitrates are a secret weapon. I recommend mixing raw spinach into your salad every morning and lightly cooking it with eggs or soup in the evening to maximize mineral absorption. 3 weeks later, Charles stopped by the clinic, carrying a fresh bunch of spinach and a quote that has stayed with me. Doctor, I no longer get muscle twitches when I read the newspaper. I can even meditate for 20 minutes every morning without pain. I never thought a plate of vegetables could do that. If spinach is circulation, then pumpkin seeds are inner peace. I learned that from the story of Ruth, 78, who lives in Eugene, Oregon. She is the ex-wife of a college friend of mine, and after the divorce, she lives alone, has trouble sleeping, and often has cramps in the middle of the night. When I met her again at a reunion of my old school, she said, I tried everything. From elevating my feet, taking mild sedatives, to soaking my feet in salt, but by 2 a.m. every morning my left leg would cramp up and wouldn't stop. I didn't recommend medication. Instead, I pulled out a small bag of unsalted raw pumpkin seeds from my pocket, something I always carry for myself, and said, Ruth, eat a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds every night, about an hour before bed. They contain magnesium, zinc, and tryptophan, which helps the body make serotonin and melatonin, two substances that regulate sleep and calm the nerves. Ruth was a snacker by nature, but from that day on, instead of saltine crackers, she switched to raw pumpkin seeds. 4 days later, she texted me at exactly 2:15 a.m. For the first time in 3 months, I slept straight through the morning. And this morning I was able to walk to the bus stop without my legs jerking. From George in Arizona to Helen in California to Charles in Ohio and Ruth in Oregon, they did not know each other. But I, who held their hands when they were in pain, I saw one thing clearly. Nutrition doesn't just heal the body. It heals loneliness. It connects people thousands of miles apart through small choices every day, through a banana, half an avocado, a few greens, or a handful of nuts. And the journey is not over yet, because next I'm going to tell you about a food that seems to be for young people, but is a magical muscle recovery toolkit for the elderly. A small fish, but it carries an ocean of vitality. If you ask me what is the most energizing food for tired legs of the elderly, I will not hesitate to say fish, and not just any fish, but salmon and sardines, fatty fish rich in omega-3s, vitamin D, and easily absorbed calcium. The story I tell next is about Walter, a retired geography teacher in Montana. He was the kind of guy who loved hiking, bird watching, and taking notes in his notebook, but in recent years he had lost the strength to climb the hill behind his house. "I was only halfway up the hill when my calf felt like someone was tightening a rope," he said. "It hurt and shook like there was no blood flowing through it." After testing, we found that he was not deficient in potassium, but severely deficient in vitamin D. This caused muscle cramps, chronic fatigue, and impaired calcium absorption, making his musculoskeletal system weaker by the day. I said to him, "Walter, give your body what the mountains lack, sunshine and ocean." I recommend he eats grilled salmon twice a week, canned sardines in salads or mashed avocado for breakfast. Sardines have soft bones, a great source of calcium without the need for supplements. After a month, Mr. Walter called me, his voice as firm as when he was in class. "Doctor, I climbed to the top of the hill yesterday, and for the first time in years, no muscle cramps. I feel like I'm 60 again." And not everyone thinks of their gut when they have cramps, but I always ask, is your body absorbing enough of what you're putting in? The answer comes from the case of Evelyn, a 79-year-old woman from Vermont. She eats fairly healthy, gets enough sleep, and even practices yoga, but still gets cramps after even light exercise. She comes to the doctor with a frustrated look on her face. "I do everything healthy, but I still have pain like someone who doesn't take care of themselves." I quietly asked more about her digestion, and she admitted it. She had bloating, mild constipation, and had been on antibiotics for a long time last year. At that time, I suggested a small but effective long-term change, adding naturally fermented yogurt to your daily diet. Yogurt helps restore your gut bacteria, improving your ability to absorb magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D, minerals vital for your muscles and nerves. Evelyn started eating Greek yogurt in the morning, with some berries and chia seeds. After 3 weeks, she came back with a glint in her eye. "Not only did my cramps stop, I slept better, my stomach felt lighter, and my energy in yoga class was different." If I told you there was a food that was packed with vitamin B12, choline, protein, and cost no more than a few cents per serving, would you believe it? That is the egg. And the person who helped me realize how magical eggs are was Frank, an 83-year-old woodworker in New Hampshire. He always starts his day with white bread and black coffee, a habit he has not changed for 50 years. But in recent years, he has complained of a feeling of itching from the inside when sitting for long periods of time working, like electricity running down his legs. I got my blood tested, and, as I suspected, severe B12 deficiency. His nerves were malfunctioning, sending incorrect signals that caused his limbs to jerk. "Frank," I told him, "try adding eggs to your breakfast. Eggs are a powerhouse of nerve nutrients, especially choline, which helps keep muscle signals steady." And Frank agreed. And just 2 weeks later, he called me, not to complain, but to tell me, "I just finished a solid oak desk, no intermittent cramps. Eggs for breakfast keep me focused and grounded all morning." From the ocean to our guts, from our breakfast tables to the mountains of Montana, every part of our bodies needs proper nourishment. And sometimes it's not a huge deprivation, but a small one, an egg, a yogurt, a piece of salmon, that makes the difference between pain and happiness. And the journey is not over yet, because next I'm going to introduce you to a magical drink. No frills, no chemicals. That's powerful enough to soothe your nerves and ward off cramps while you sleep. Coconut water, liquid mineral that helps your feet sleep restfully. I always tell my elderly patients, never underestimate the power of simplicity, and nothing is simpler than a refreshing glass of coconut water. This story is about Linda, a 76-year-old former librarian living in Tampa, Florida. She used to be very active, but recently she has been suffering from severe cramps at night, especially on hot nights. When I asked her about her daily water intake, she replied, "I drink enough water, but every time I sweat I feel dizzy and my calves hurt like knives are stabbing them." I knew right away that this was a sign of electrolyte imbalance, especially potassium and magnesium loss through sweating, and she couldn't replace these minerals with just plain water. So I suggested, try drinking pure coconut water, about a small glass in the afternoon or before bed. It's a natural electrolyte, providing potassium, magnesium, and a little calcium, all of which help regulate muscle contraction. After a week, Mrs. Linda called me, her voice as light as the sea breeze. "Doctor, I drank a glass of coconut water before bed and my legs stopped cramping. I was able to lie still until morning. I even kept a small glass on my nightstand as a natural sleeping pill." After stabilizing electrolytes with coconut water, I often add a more sustainable food at night: sweet potatoes. This story is about Mr. Thomas, 80 years old, a former long-haul truck driver living in Oklahoma. He usually has an early dinner, then does not eat anything else until the next morning. But usually around 3 a.m. he is awakened by severe cramps. I asked carefully and realized one thing: he had nocturnal hypoglycemia, which made his nerves unstable and easily caused muscle cramps. I advised him to eat a small extra portion in the evening. Try a steamed or lightly baked sweet potato about an hour before bedtime. Sweet potatoes are rich in potassium, magnesium, vitamin B6, and a good source of complex carbs, which help stabilize blood sugar overnight. He was skeptical, but he did it anyway. And after 10 days, he returned for a follow-up visit, bringing a sweet potato wrapped in foil. "This is a thank you gift. I no longer wake up at night, and I can take short weekend car rides to see my grandchild without aches and pains." Almonds, a gentle finish for stiff legs. And finally, to complete the nighttime trio, after coconut water and sweet potatoes, I suggest adding a handful of raw almonds. I learned this from Dolores, an 81-year-old woman living in Portland, Oregon, who wakes up frequently in the middle of the night, not just because of muscle pain, but also because of a dull ache that feels like her body is shaking from the core. I try giving her a small handful of raw, unsalted almonds every night, just 8-10. The reason? Almonds are rich in magnesium, which helps relax muscles, and they also contain vitamin E, an antioxidant that supports nerves. After 2 weeks, Mrs. Dolores wrote me a card. "Dear doctor, not only do I sleep well, I feel like I'm 65 again." Conclusion. It all starts with a small habit. From George to Ruth, from Frank to Dolores. Each one is a piece of the puzzle. But what they have in common is this. They didn't wait for the medicine to work. They made small changes. A banana, a glass of coconut water, a steamed sweet potato, a grilled salmon meal, a yogurt in the morning, a handful of nuts before bed. You don't have to change everything at once. Just pick one and start there. Because your body, whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, still wants to heal. You just have to listen to it. If you find these stories relatable, please comment and share your story, or send this video to your loved ones, so they too can find a peaceful night's sleep. And if you want to continue receiving honest, scientific, and close sharing like this, please subscribe to the channel, because every day I will tell you a new journey. Good night, and have a restful, cramp-free night.